welcome once again, Mike. It's great to have you back on the show. I know last time you were on, you talked about some amazing games, including Castle King, which I don't know if you've had a chance to play yet, but it is
Yeah.
godlike.
Yes.
So I'm hoping for to be similarly inspired this week by some amazing picks that you've come out with. And I think the first one kind of caught my eye, Madison. But I'm going to throw it over to you, kind of dump your knowledge on me.
No problem. So yeah, Madison, it's an upcoming psychological thriller. Um, it looks really cool. So like the whole concept of the game sort of is that you are being haunted by a demon named Madison, and the demon is manipulating you into doing just some of the most cruel, unimaginable acts that anybody could think of in order to complete this ancient ritual that was started by someone else that he was tormenting decades in the past. So you have to fight with your own morality and against this demon that is forcing you, manipulating you into doing just awful stuff. Um, while going through this just crazy demonic ritual to like rain hell down on earth essentially. It looks spooky, it looks really great. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't try and push off the release date a few months, because this would have been a perfect right next to Halloween release.
Hmm.
But if you're looking for a little bit of a Halloween flair in the middle of July, this is right up your alley.
100%. And I think we can both admit there's one thing this year that people won't be lacking is horror titles to jump into.
That is
So
true. If Summer
um
Games Fest was anything to own up to that, lots of horror.
100%. So that comes out on July 8th.
Yep.
So let's move away a little bit. That's quite psychologically terrifying, and some people may not be into that. But Kurt the Mythic Wings doesn't seem to have that same sort of edge to it.
No, it doesn't. This is one of the ones that I'm most excited for on this entire list. And it's because Krut, the Mythical Wings, is inspired by a Thai animated movie that came out back in like 2017, I think. So it goes all into Thai mythology, all about all of that kind of stuff. So it's a big glance into a culture that I don't think a lot of people in the gaming space has ever really experienced before. But it's a 2D action-based hack and slash title is how they describe it. So kind of like a Katana Zero type game, but without the dying on the first hit
Hmm.
that you take kind of gameplay. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I hadn't ever heard of Krut before. I saw the game trailer a couple of days ago, but it's definitely on my radar now. And I think anyone who's a fan of the 2D action side scrollers like The Messenger, Katana Zero, stuff like that, I think they will highly enjoy this title.
100%. And apologies to the developers. I believe I called it Kurt the first time over. So it's definitely
It's
not
okay.
Kurt. That comes out on July 12th. But we also have another game that you have on the list here that comes out on the same day. I saw this. I fell in love with the art style straight away. Tell me about Time on Frog Island.
So Time on Frog Island was a game that I wasn't sure how to feel about when I was just reading the title. Before I saw anything about it, I just saw the title. And as an indie fan, there's already an indie game, frog-based game shaped hole in my heart that is squarely for Frog Detective, because I love Frog Detective. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think you can stack up to Frog Detective. Fortunately, nothing like Frog Detective. So I don't have to worry about that. Instead, you are shipwrecked on an island that is just full of frogs, frogs everywhere. There's a frog for everybody. Everybody gets a frog. And your entire goal is to explore the island, find supplies, solve puzzles, and try and get off the island, repair your ship, and leave. But they describe it as it's not just frogs on the island. You're going to be able to meet all kinds of interesting and unique characters throughout the entire journey throughout Frog Island. So I think a lot of fans of the kind of more relaxed adventure type puzzle games, like if Tunic was a little too much combat heavy for a lot of people, this looks like it gives a kind of a similar vibe and the exploration and adventure and kind of the whimsy, but without having to worry about getting brutally murdered by the difficult bosses that show up around every turn in Tunic.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely looks like sort of just a really kind of warm, fuzzy, wholesome game,
Yep,
anyways.
one of
So
those,
for
yeah, kind
anyone
of like
who's looking for
a
that,
short
yeah.
hike and tome and later alligator and that kind of style of title.
Hmm. So that again, as we mentioned, is coming out on July 12th. Now, this next one is the one that I think will be the Castle King of this week because I am ecstatic about this because somebody obviously saw the trend of people cleaning stuff on TikTok and thought that's going to be my game and it looks
Yep.
phenomenal. Tell me about Power Wash Simulator.
So Power Wash Simulator, there's not a whole lot to tell. If you've been paying attention to the indie scene at all in the last 5 years, you know that farming simulator, lawn mowing simulator, PC building simulator. There's a simulator game for everything and everyone out there that exists right now. And they're all really good. My wife right now is addicted to a game called House Flipper, which is just repainting houses and selling them. She's addicted. She's put like 20 hours in the last week. And she's about to start playing Power Wash Simulator when it gets added to Game Pass later this coming week. But yeah, so you basically power wash stuff. All kinds of buildings, trucks, driveways, sidewalks. You got all kinds of different nozzles and settings, and I think you have like jobs and missions that you can complete and stuff like that. But yeah, if you've ever wondered what it's like to just power wash an entire house covered in 5 feet of grime, this is the game for you.
This is very good. I know specifically when I saw this, I think of all the YouTube channels that restore old consoles, and I think this is made specifically for them and only them. And I'm ecstatic to see this.
Yep.
Uh, so that comes out on the 14th of July. Again, this is actually it's like all the rest of the games come out on the 14th of July. So feel free to just add this entire day and take it off to your calendar. um, Next game we have here, I mean, will be a fan of anyone who's a fan of puzzles in any way, shape, or form, or escape rooms. Escape Academy, tell me about
Escape
it. Where'd you
Academy.
hear about it?
So Escape Academy is another Game Pass title. So that's how I heard about it because I have to keep track of all of the Game Pass stuff. So it'll be launching day one on Game Pass for PC and console. But it is basically a escape room in game form, but not just a escape room. So it has over a dozen handcrafted escape rooms that were designed by real life escape room creators.
Hmm.
And you are basically going through the Escape Academy where you learn to be the number one escape game master. And you just get to kind of learn how to go through all of these different levels. They all have their own unique twists and turns. None of them can be solved the same way. And I think a lot of people who are into puzzle games will not only enjoy this, but I'm expecting this to actually be kind of challenging for a lot of people because escape rooms are not historically easy. In fact, oftentimes you need multiple people in order to solve an escape room.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you have over a dozen escape rooms designed by actual escape room creators, I feel like it's gonna be like the puzzle game of the year
Mm-hmm.
essentially, and I love its art style too. It has a very beautiful kind of vibrant art style that I just really appreciate in puzzle games.
Because I was definitely looking for another reason to feel dumb in my life. So that will be on the list of things to try out. On the same day, I am extremely interested by this one that you put in because I had never heard of it. We're kind of going back to the horror element a little bit, but not as, I suppose, hardcore horror as Madison. Tell me about Mothman 1966.
Okay, so I know I've said this for like half the game so far, but this is one of the ones that I'm most excited about on this list. Mothman 1966 is a pixel pulp visual novel. So a pixel pulp takes the aesthetics of like the 1960s
Mm-hmm.
pulp fiction and transforms it into a video game like visual novel experience. So kind of like an Ace Attorney or AI the Somnium Files type experience where there's not a whole lot of gameplay, but there's an amazing narrative to uncover. Except for it's about cryptids, which I love cryptids and I love Mothman especially. I think most people who like cryptids like Mothman. He's pretty popular. But yeah, it's kind of a thriller-esque horror story where it's not going to really scare you, but you should be able to feel the fear and the characters that are in the game itself. So it's basically about a group of people in this town where there have been a lot of random Mothman sightings, and it's actually um basically retelling an actual like real life supernatural event that took place. I forget the name of the event that it is covering, but it's an actual like event that happened and that a lot of people blamed on Mothman himself. Obviously, we've gotten real explanation since then that isn't Mothman, but it's still pretty cool to see them tying a real life story into a game about Mothman.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's still definitely one of the games on this list that I'm going to be checking out this week when it
Well,
comes out.
be glad because this is also just the first of their games. They said that this is the
Fantastic.
first in a series of pixel pulp visual novels from them.
Well, amazing. It's a great week to be a Mothman fan. To all of them that are out there, I suppose. Next game, this is the one I know very little about. It has the very stereotypical anime style name that gets lost in a lot of, at least in my head, but I know some people will be excited to hear. Azure Striker Gunvolt 2. Have you played the first one, Mike, first of
I
all?
just beat the first one because so this one, the second one, and the third one are all making their way to Xbox for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this release is for. This is the release for Xbox, and it's awesome. I played the first one, I loved it. Any fans of Mega Man are going to love this game,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the Mega Man ZX games, where you play as Zero rather than Mega Man himself. It's an amazing game, fast paced, 2D action, beautiful art style, has a cool story, tough boss fights, and just an amazing soundtrack. Like the music is half of the experience, I'd say. It's an amazing time. But as someone who has dabbled in Mega Man a little bit, I've played a number of the games, but not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have been really anticipating playing these games because I've heard a lot of really good things about them, which doesn't really come as a surprise because this game is developed by Inti Creates, which is a group of ex-Capcom developers that formed their own indie studio, and they're also known for other popular series like the Bloodstained games, um, Bloodstained. They did Mighty Number 9, which is probably their least popular game. That one got a little hated, but Blaster Master Zero they also did, and then Azure Striker Gunvolt is another one of their big series. And they're one of my favorite and one of the most underappreciated indie developers out there. So I would say if you are a fan of action-based 2D platformers and or Mega Man, you should be checking out Azure Striker Gunvolt.
Well, I think that has actually kind of won me over a little bit. So yeah, I mean, that's great. Anyways, I mean, that's what all this is for.
You know,
Final game for today. I mean, this title has just taken every single phobia it could possibly think of and shoved it into the title. Spidersaurus. This
yeah.
creeps me out, the name of it, but it doesn't look that creepy at
It
all.
doesn't look creepy, no. It has like an adorable little like arcade art style to it. And it looks like a lot of fun. So it's a co-op game where you fight an evil corporation that decided to, for some reason, splice spiders and dinosaurs together. It was originally an exclusive to Apple Arcade, but like many other Apple Arcade exclusives, it has finally been freed from its cage and can be experienced by more than a couple thousand people that are subscribed to Apple Arcade.
Mhm.
But I think it looks really fun. I always love co-op games that come out. I think it only has two-player co-op, but it's supposed to get new content, new characters, new story, and stuff for its post Apple Arcade release. So this isn't just a straight port of the Apple Arcade version either. But I'm pretty excited for it, despite really, really hating spiders.
Mhm. Well, obviously, there's a lot coming out in the list we've just mentioned, and I'm sure there are dozens on top of hundreds more games that are also coming out alongside it.
There are, yeah, there's
If
a
you
lot.
had to narrow it down to three games that you would say to people, please give this a look this week, if you could give them your recommendation, which ones do you think you'd throw at them?
So Mothman 1966 is probably up there in my top three for sure. Very excited for that game. Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 is another one that I would highly recommend. And if you're interested in it, you can actually go and get the first game right now. It's already out. It's not very long, like it's maybe a 2 hour game, and it's like $10 or $15. It's
Mhm.
not that bad. It's a great time, lots of replayability. The third one is a tough one for me because like every game on this list is like very good. They're all games that I am personally interested in playing. I think I would have to go with Power Wash
Mm.
Simulator actually though. just because sometimes you need a good simulator game that you can just kind of turn your brain off for and
Yeah.
just vibe. And just blasting water at dirt is definitely something I could do for an immense amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, fantastic. Thanks again, Mike, for coming on. I mean, there's a load of stuff for people to dive into this week. If there's any games you're particularly interested in looking at, please leave them down in the comments below. You can find Mike over on Twitter and Indie Games Tracker as well, a fantastic platform for looking for all your indie games sort of news and releases coming out. So they'll all be linked to the top of the description as well. Mike, thank you so much.
Of course.